Hello everyone, I'm Rick and thanks for joining me. And to all my subscribers, welcome back. First off, I hope all of the dads out there had a wonderful Father's Day with their loved ones. My grandson Kellen came over to visit with me and made my day for sure. Now today we'll be looking at a pair of $60 wired IEMs, and these are the Apos Audio Rock Lobsters. And we'll also be looking at a pair of replacement cables from NiceHCK, their fall cable. Now you will see the paid promo banner above because Apos Audio did send this unit out to me for review at no charge. So a big thank you to Apos Audio for their continued support of the channel. And speaking of Apos Audio, Apos just went live with their summer sale, with some of the highlights being up to 35% off on some Theo product, as well as 20% off on Meze product. And I'll post a few more discounts up here on the screen. So if you've been waiting to save a little bit of cash, now's a good time to buy. I'll have my affiliate link down below. Now let's jump back to these IEMs. So the Rock Lobster are Apos Audio's in-house designed IEM geared towards rock music and similar genres. And they come in a simple packaging which I really like and appreciate, and I'll elaborate more in a minute. The graphic on the front side is a little aggressive, as are Apos' ads on Instagram for this product. I remember doing a little late night scrolling and suddenly there was this big red lobster rocking out on my feed. I mean, I suppose it did leave an impression though. Anyway, inside we have this simple packaging and we have a little quick start card, as well as 3 sets of silicone ear tips. The IEMs themselves, now they come in separate packaging, but I have them installed here. And then they come with your cable, and you can either get them with a 3.5mm single-ended cable, a 4.4mm balanced, or a kit that includes 2 cables, the 3.5 and 4.4 for just $10 more. And that does sound like a great deal right there. And that's basically all we get here. And I love this. And now I'll tell you why. Some of the IEM kits that have gotten in recently, well yes, are very complete, have way too many ear tips that I won't be using. Case in point here, the included 3 silicone tips, which Apos says that they tested and chose because they found to be the best sounding with this particular earbud. Okay, now I'm not going to argue with that. If you like strawberry and I like mango, who am I to say that you're wrong? But I personally hate these silicone tips. So I replaced mine with the little foam ones from Deconi Audio. They're Mercury's right here. But I do like that I didn't get 15 sets of ear tips like I do with some other IEM kits. And another thing that I do like is that choice of the connector in either the 3.5 or 4.4mm, as well as the option to purchase the leather clamshell case at an additional cost. I have a ton of cases at this point. The little Fosse IM3 one, this one's great. This TRN case, I mean, I think it's a little overboard. And then there's this purple case from my Twister Bezos. A great set of IEMs, but I am never going to use this case. And I really much rather that they would have not included this case in the kit and brought the price down on that unit itself. So I love Apos Audio's build your own approach here with the Rock Lobsters. Now my review sample did come with the 3.5mm cable, but again we'll also be looking at the upgraded cable from NiceHCK later on. The included cable is decent on this one, nice and flexible and relatively tangle free. And it has a clear R and L in white, so super easy to see on the connector to the IEM. Apos, you've been listening, well done. Now we don't get a colored ring on the connector itself, but if we see on the inside, we can see that the R is color coded with red and the left in white. And this 3.5mm cable weighs in at 21 grams. Then we have the IEMs. These weigh in at approximately 4.5 grams each, with a semi-glossy translucent red resin outer shell and a matte black accent in a softer material. And we can see the 10mm LCP dynamic driver inside. That's pretty cool. Now the nozzles are not removable as we'd expect at this price point. And the shape of these guys were very comfortable in and against my ear. No problem at all there. Aesthetically, I think they're nice. Colorful, but not too wild. And the impedance on the IEMs is 32 ohms with a sensitivity of 105 decibels. So super easy to drive with almost any dongle DAC that I had. And Apos states the impedance on the cable at 0.5 ohms. So on to listening. I did the majority of my listening with the FIO MD3 DAC, as well as my Questyle M15i Black Edition. But also later on, I did use my EPZ TP35 Pro, as well as the Moondrop Moonriver 3 DACs. Now these last two do have DSP and did help to tweak the sound a little bit on the Rock Lobsters. So once again, for my sound impressions, I did use the foam tips and not the included silicone tips. And that's just my preference. And the first thing that I picked up on with the Rock Lobsters was their bass. Definitely boosted in the lows, more so than others I've listened to lately, and I think intentionally. Not too crazy, but satisfying. The mid-bass has some nice punch and impact as well. Now the mid-range is slightly affected by that bass boost, and while it does lend to a warmer and thicker male vocal presence, it tends to thin out female vocals and make them sound a little dark. Maybe for rock, female vocalists are more on the rare side? I don't know. Now I do know that a little treble boost in EQ made things more balanced for me. I personally feel that the Rock Lobsters lack a little air and shimmer. Now the flip side, these are some non-fatiguing IEMs, and you can wear them all day and it'll be fine. Or at least I could. So far, the only downside for me is that I do believe that you will need a DAC with DSP EQ like the Moonriver 3 or the TP35 Pro here, which I found to be excellent pairings with the Rock Lobsters actually. Or you'll have to use software with EQ, like Roon, which is what I use to adjust the treble. Spatially, I found that the Rock Lobsters have good but not great separation. The CCA Rhapsodies at a similar price point do outshine the Rock Lobsters in layering, but the Rock Lobsters come out on top for low bass. Then I decided to try out this 2-pin connector to 4.4mm Pentacon cable from NiceHCK, and this is their fall cable. And as with the Rock Lobster, it comes in a minimalist package that I don't mind at all. Now NiceHCK sent this one out to me to test, again at no charge. And it retails for around $55 to $60, so around the same price point as the Rock Lobsters. Its selling points are 18.6 gauge oxygen-free copper conductors with high silver content soldering and gold-plated connectors. I'll share a link to their product page below. So up front, I'll have to share that I've personally never heard a huge difference in cables. And by cables, I mean speaker cables and interconnects. I'm fairly new to IEMs here, so we're learning together. Now, have I heard differences? Yes, on occasion, but again, very slight if at all. And I think what I have heard has always been it sounds different rather than it sounds better, and it's always had some sort of trade-off. So when NiceHCK asked me if I'd like to try this fall cable, I was very honest with them and I told them the same. I said, hey, I usually don't hear anything with cables, but if you would like, I'll share my experience using the cable, talking about its quality and its aesthetics. And they sent me over this guide to review. On the aesthetic side of things, I think that this cable looks awesome. Once again, we have a red and a white connector here, so easy visibility. White is our left, red is our right. With the Rock Lobsters, it gives it even more of a lobstery look. The cable weighs in at 45.6 grams, and it's around 4 inches shorter than the stock cable here, this one coming in at 46 inches. Now it does have some nice heft, but I never felt it to be too heavy. At least never heavy enough where it actually tugged on my ear and made the IEMs come out. Nothing like that at all. The cable does have some slight memory, so it isn't as tangle-free as the stock cable. And finally, it is super quiet in terms of microphonics. It doesn't make any sound when it's bouncing on my chest at all. On to testing. I swapped the cables like here, and I plugged the 4.4mm connector into the Fosse MD3, and I could not believe the difference. The soundstage opened up, but more importantly, those rolled off upper mids and highs were back. My first reaction was, wow, this Fosse MD3's balanced output is much nicer than this 3.5mm output. I really did accredit it to the output stage on the balance side of that little DAC. I just really couldn't imagine the cable making the difference. But then I thought, hey, maybe could it be possible? Is it the cable? So now I don't have the 4.4mm cable from the Rock Lobsters. However, I do have another DAC that I can try instead. So I did the same thing here. I plugged in that 4.4mm into the Questel M15i. And these two DACs here, particularly, I like them for testing because they are very, very transparent. And again, connecting to the M15i, there it was. I could hear that sound difference. The same thing occurred. The layering got a touch better, but more importantly, those highs sounded a little bit brighter. And then at this point, I honestly didn't feel any need to tweak anything in EQ. And I don't know what's causing this difference in the sound quality that I'm hearing. I can only speculate after reading more on NiceHCK's website that the difference could be caused by the false cable having a lower impedance of 0.1 ohm versus the 0.5 ohms on the stock cable. But whatever it is, I can definitely tell you that this NiceHCK fall cable does make for a wonderful upgrade to the stock cable on the Rock Lobsters 100%. It makes for a wonderful pairing. And I know this topic gets controversial, guys. This is just what I heard, so please keep it respectful in the comments. And if you guys do own the Rock Lobster here with both the 3.5 and the 4.4 cables, let me know if you've heard a difference between those two. I'm curious to know if you can pick up anything on that. I can highly recommend the NiceHCK cable, and as for the IEMs, they get a recommend, not at my highest level, but I think for $60, I think there's something to look at. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.